Hey everyone, today we'll have a look at how to make the drop of the track Sweet Escape by Alesso. And please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe.
Okay, so let's listen to the whole drop and then I will explain to you how I made each part. I will disable some master effects. The first part is the chords, played by a piano. And another synthesizer, which is Piano Tech, with a EDWAN preset. So without any effects, the piano sounds like this. What I did here is remove some of the low end with an EQ and some not so nice frequencies. Then I added a compressor just to make it stand up a bit more, and it brings some shine to the sound. And finally, a sidechain. For the other synthesizer, what I used is first a reverb. Then I removed some of the low end with an EQ and some frequencies which made strange resonance. I set up a stereo enhancer because then the stereo is slightly wider and it sounds better. Another EQ to remove some frequencies and make the stereo signal a bit louder and the mid signal a bit quieter so that it doesn't interfere with the lead. And finally, analog emulator, which simulates an amplifier. It makes the sound a bit more warm. And finally, a sidechain. Now let's go to the sub bass, which is this one. Let's listen to it. I used the Ace VST. Ace VST is very cool for sub. It has a great sound for it. Very clean, very full, very good for bass. Alesso uses Ace VST for his sub, so I recommend you to use it. Without any effects, it sounds like this. I added the R-Bass plugin, which creates some harmonics and it makes the sound a bit more rich and interesting. A compressor is also set up to make it tighter and sit better in the mix. Then I removed some of the low end, some of the high end. I put another harmonics enhancer, which is this one. It's by Wave. It's a Renaissance plugin. It's great for bass. Then I removed some high end, some low end, so let's listen to it with and without. And finally, very important to have nice groove, I added this sidechain. Now let's go to the kick. We have a kick made of two parts, the top and the sub kick. The top kick, I simply equalized it. I removed some of the low end. It's a boxy frequency at 500 Hz. So listen to it without any effects. Sorry. Now with EQ. Another filter to remove some of the low end. And a compressor to make the kick stand out a bit more with this attack set to 20 milliseconds so that only the first part of the kick is cutting through the mix. Listen to it now. Second part of the kick is a sub kick. It will just add a nice low end to it. The effects on the sub kick are slightly different. For example, the compressor has a shorter attack because we don't care so much about the transients, the first sounds made by the sub kick. It doesn't have to be like tack tack. If it's more boom boom, it's perfect. So listen now without any effect. As you can hear, it's a different sample than the top kick. It has a better low end. So I removed some of the high end. I removed then some of the low and high end. And finally I compressed it to make it tighter, louder. Now if you listen to both parts together, and very important, it has to fit well with the sub bass. It's interesting to listen to it without any effect on the sub bass so you can notice the difference with and without effects. Now let's switch to the lead. The lead is made of several layers. We have this layer. I will make you hear all the layers without any effects. So this is one part for the lead. I will quickly show you which plugins I used for it. First of all, I used an EQ to remove some of the low end, a compressor to make the transients louder, another EQ here to add some mid signal to make the mono signal of the lead louder, and then a stereo imager by Waves, great plugin also to make it wider. I like when it's wide and loud. Then another EQ to remove the low end, and finally a sidechain, so listen to it. Stereo is better, there is less low end, less strange frequencies. I added a sidechain reverb. If you haven't yet, go check out my other video about sidechain reverb. What this makes is a really nice space for the lead. So we have the reverb in itself here, set up like this. Stereo enhancer. Remove some frequencies which are not nice. Very important to remove the low end from the reverb, otherwise it will conflict with your kick and sub and it will not make something really tight and punchy. Finally, frequency limiter so that it's sidechained. and LFO tool to make it groovy, like with the general rhythm it will pump like this with the kick. So that's it for the first part of the lead. Second part of the lead is this one. It's composed of Nexus plugin and Spire plugin. It's not in the high frequencies, it's more present in the mid frequencies. I added a compressor, EQ and a stereo enhancer on it, and finally a sidechain. And there is another part which is here. Pretty simple, some equalization, reverb, not sidechain this time because I don't want the sound to be too much upfront, a stereo enhancer by waves, and finally LFO tool to make some sidechain. I have still to make you listen to this one. Some ride sounds. Without any effects. Remove some low end. And some horrible frequencies. Make it wider with a stereo enhancer. And finally a reverb. And that's it. 3 FX here. That's not very interesting, but still. This one. Crash. Crash. Downlifter. And another sweep. Sweet sweep. And finally, let's listen again to everything. With the master effects, I added some compression with the glue plugin. Don't compress too much. A FabFilter Saturn, I don't know exactly what it is doing. I think it's a kind of multi-band compressor. And finally, a limiter to make it a few decibels louder. Let's listen to everything. And that's it. I think Felix is happy with the song too. Thanks a lot for watching. If you want the Fruity Loops project, you can find a link in the description. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe so you don't miss any new video. And see you next week. That's my manager, Felix. He's got only one eye, but 2 very good ears.